I met some of you guys, we did this a couple weeks ago over at Paul and Dawn's place. We sort of talked about the art of the pitch. And then the idea came from that to like have a more interactive forum where some of you folks could actually sort of try out your pitch in a safe, non-judgmental, constructive environment. And we could all sort of give you thoughts, reactions in a constructive way. So that's what we're going to work towards. I'm going to start with 5 minutes of recap of what we did at the last talk. We're also going to talk about some vocabulary. It's really important when you're sort of evaluating something to sort of come up with the terms that help everyone sort of look at that pitch sort of in the same framework and have the terms to discuss it. So we'll start a board over here of some categories and some terms. And then as we go through it, because this is a workshop, you guys are going to add to those terms. So as people come up with cool hooks or ideas, we're going to add them to our quiver over here. And the goal is tonight that anyone who really wants to do their 1 minute or 2 minute or 3 minute, whatever that is, they come up, they nail it, we talk about it, we get some quick reactions, we sort of put what works and what doesn't up on this board. And at the end, if you want to take a picture of it, you sort of have Pitch 101. And you have some real definitive terms and ideas and experience with which you can go back and look at your own pitches and say, how do I make this better? How do I make it stronger? How do I make it faster? Right? Because that's kind of the goal. So to start out, today's goal is really not who does the best pitch, right? And it's not who has the best business. What we're going to do is work together and use each other's brains to develop this vocabulary I talk about and a framework through which we'll all become more effective at furthering the goals of our enterprises, right? So as I said a couple weeks ago, we got together. I want to just recap some of the ideas because there's a million different structures you can use with your pitch, and ideally they kind of come up from your strongest attributes, help you decide where to start. A couple of them that we came up with a couple weeks ago. The comparative pitch, right? In movies, we say it's Beverly Hills Cop in high school, right? Which is 22 Jump Street. In startups, you'd say it's Uber for jets, or it's Uber for dogs, or it's Uber for whatever, right? You take something that people know and like and that works, and you use that as shorthand to sort of describe this new thing that you're going to do that has a similar model. So that's comparative. We talked also about market opportunity pitches. Market opportunity pitch is where you identify a large TAM or a total addressable market, right? And then you look at some service that's not being provided to those people. The Hollywood example we talked about a couple weeks ago was Christians. Christian moviegoers in the United States feel like there are not movies made that are appropriate for them or to their interests, right? So that's a big addressable market, and they're identifying a need that's not being met. So the Hollywood answer to that we talked about was Noah with Russell Crowe, right? You're providing a service to a large group of people who are not being served. That's a market opportunity. Then we talked about disruption, right? Everyone talks about disruption, but a good way to look at disruption is to look at a marketplace that's functioning, but is functioning in an archaic or vestigial way, right? So we talked about how in my business in movies for a long time, every comedy was made for the whole family because the conventional wisdom was comedies everyone wants to take their kids and it's a family opportunity. It's the kind of movie everyone wants to enjoy together. But the reality was, and someone disrupted this, adults do not find anything funny if it's safe for their 13-year-old, right? So people started making R-rated comedies, and now they dominate the comedy landscape. We talked about, I think, Dollar Shave Club is sort of the startup version of that. Razors for guys are the hardest thing to buy. You go there, half the drugstores you go to, they're locked up. When you go to buy those blades, they're like behind plastic. You got to get someone to help you out. So this regular transaction you have to do then becomes like the most painful thing you do as a guy, because it's on a regular basis. You're going, oh, I got to go there and stand and find someone to help me get this stuff. Or you buy the ones that don't fit, or whatever the problem. So Dollar Shave Club said, screw that. We're going to send you the handle, and then every month we're going to send you a new blade. And you're never going to get to that place where, you got the big presentation to your boss, and you're blade is dull and you're like, oh God, I wish I'd gone, but I didn't go, right? So it's a subscription model. That's disrupting the razor blade market. We talked about 4 quick ingredients to get your pitch from B+ to A. Value proposition. You always have to communicate your value proposition. The value proposition is not the service you deliver, it's not the price, it's the highest level need you satisfy in your customer, right? So Dollar Shave Club, the value proposition is not razor blades, it's not delivery, it's not price, it's taking pain out of an equation. Something that's annoying, you remove that annoyance, that's value in someone's life. That's a value proposition. That's the first. Second one, every pitch has to communicate your most valuable asset, which is always your team, right? All kinds of people have great ideas. Take a great idea, bad team, nothing happens. Take a great idea, great team, turns into something valuable. If you don't explain that part of the equation, why you're uniquely qualified, your track record, you're bringing together a synergistic group of people from programming, sales, whatever, you have to talk about that team. Very important. Third, you have to promise transformation. A lot of the pitches we're going to be talking about are to raise money for your company, right? So no one wants to fund your company to keep the lights on or keep the status quo. If you're raising money, it has to be to enable you to get resources that are going to change the nature of your company. New people, new sales tools, new technology, something that's going to liberate this great idea from stasis to a dynamic state where you can earn from it. And last, mission. Every pitch needs to invite the subject of the pitch, whoever you're pitching to, on your mission. You have to be an evangelist and you have to be enthusiastic. As I said in the last meeting, no one cares if the night before you slept at Motel 6 or the coffee was cold. You better show up with enthusiasm. Even fake enthusiasm works, all right? Have to be enthusiastic. You have to walk in and say, I've got this idea I'm so excited about, I've got this team I'm so excited about. You know, you have to get people in the mood to say, wow, I'm excited too. Okay. So, that's a recap. Now we're going to start with today. Today is not a lecture. The last thing I did with Paul's crew was a lecture. I stood there and I talked and that was it. Today is a workshop. So who's going to do the work today? Not me. Somebody answer. You guys. It's a workshop. You're doing the work. So we're going to start with some vocabulary, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put some of you on the spot. We're going to get into groups, 5, 6 people. Within that group, maybe 1 or 2 people are going to say, I've got something I want to pitch. If it's one person, great. Those people are going to practice their pitch on that small group. They're going to look at the stuff we're putting on the board. They're going to evaluate it, maybe say, hey, I didn't get this, or I didn't get that, or did you consider this? Rewrite it together as a group. And then, after you've done that work in your groups, those people are going to come up one after another and pitch to the whole group. Okay? And then we're going to look together, and we're going to go through those pitches, and we're going to talk about which of the hot buttons they push and which they missed, and what we think was great and what we think could be better. So the first thing we have to do is develop this common vocabulary. And as I said before, this is a living document. So the goal here is for this to sort of prime the pump, right? We're going to put some terms and ideas up here, and as we start to pitch, we're going to add to it. And I'm going to call on you guys not only to pitch, but this is going to be the last time I hold the marker. I'm going to write the first stuff up there, and then you guys are going to do the rest. So as you guys identify new ideas, you're going to come up and write them up here. So workshop. Okay. So starting off, hopefully this will be the only time my back will be to you today. A great pitch has hooks. That's correct. Hooks. That's correct. Let's try this one. Hooks. It has a value prop. Oh, look at that. Everyone can see that, right? Value prop. We're going to break down the different elements of that. And it has a connection to the audience, right? Because there is a performance element to it, and it really does matter. don't do what I do, which is turn your back to the video. Okay, so hooks. First couple we're going to throw up are a big market. When I hear big market in a pitch, I hear money, right? Because that's a lot of people to sell to. It's like something that succeeded. That's a hook. You've got a special team, right? We talked about that. Is that your most valuable asset? It's got customers in hand. Does that make sense? Do you understand what those mean? Tell me yes or no.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, does anyone say no?
I say no,
Okay.
just to say no, but what do you mean by customers in hand? Just you have
If
to-
I come to you and I'm making a pitch and I say, I'm doing this startup and we're delivering dog food to people who are in rural areas, I've already got 16 customers,
Gotcha.
that's a customer in hand, that's not a pie in the sky. So even if I'm not making enough revenue to support the company, even if I see that there's 10 people out there who think this is a good enough idea to pay for, I go, maybe I can turn that into 100 or 1,000 or 1,000,000 customers. Customers in hand. Okay. Value proposition. Does anyone remember what that was from 2 minutes ago?
Highest level of need.
There we go. Who said that? All right, you're awesome. Highest level need. Okay, and some examples that we want to see in a value proposition, is it credible? Right? Does that seem like something that's a need that people really have and that this company can really serve? Right? Do I understand the customer? Right? When I hear your pitch and I talk about the value proposition, do I really kind of understand who's going to actually be that customer? Is there a profile there, an archetype? There's a scale. Want, need, what's the third thing? Love, right? If I think that value proposition satisfies a want, yeah, I want that. It's better, I need that. And ultimately, I love that. That's a stronger value proposition, okay? Connection to audience. So when you're making your pitch, you're talking to people. They have to take in your information, process it, understand how it relates to them, and understand how they're supposed to act on your pitch, right? So there's a number of things we talk about when we're talking about the connection to an audience. Is it clear? Do I even get what you're talking about? Anyone seen a pitch they didn't understand? I have. A lot of times. I've made pitches and people just look at me and just go, sorry, you lost me at Jeremy Sauter. I have no idea what you're talking about. But you get better. Compelling. And it doesn't even have to be compelling in the sort of business sense. It's compelling because your energy, your enthusiasm, your excitement. Like sometimes there's like this sort of Socratic method of how you use building blocks to move through complex information so people can track it. You switch 3 of those slides around, it's no longer compelling. People go like, I'm not sure, it didn't convince me. Same information, different ways, different levels of excitement, works differently. Is it actionable, right? If someone listens to your pitch and they're not sure what exactly you want, or what you want from them, even more importantly, it's not actionable, right? So I could pitch you my business and then you say, well, no one should have to say, well, what do you want me to do? If that's not in your pitch, then your pitch can't make, then you're saying like, oh, let me pitch you again and do it so that you know what I want. Okay. We talked about the mission. Sometimes a great pitch and a mediocre pitch are different just because one is contextualized as a mission and one is just facts. I may understand the mechanics of your business, but I don't understand why it's going to change lives, why it's going to change the world, why it's important, why now, why me, right? That's a mission. Last thing, too long, short, or just right. So, in my day job, as I told you guys, I work in marketing for Paramount Pictures. And one of the things I do is go to a lot of test screenings. So we go see it. Directors don't have to invite us, but we're nice to them and they invite us to look at the very early cuts of their movies. One of the most important metrics we see that is you can actually change and fix and make better is this. So at the end of a screening, if people say it's too short, that means it's too fast. You gotta let it breathe, right? You gotta let people soak in that information. Maybe instead of 1 sentence, 2 sentences, you gotta add that third sentence so people can go, oh, I get it, in that critical scene. Too long? That's death, right? Maybe you shot your movie and you're putting everything in there, and it's, you know, every scene is there, and it's 2 hours long or 2.5 hours long. If something's too long in a movie, about halfway through people go, this is taking forever, it hasn't gotten to that second act yet. People can feel how long it is early on. That's death. Just right, that's what you want to get. Enough information that people can act, not more, not less. All right? So we're gonna help each other be too long, too short, just right. Okay, so is everyone clear on all of those? Okay, you don't have to write them down, they're there. Got those? Any questions on those? Okay. So, what we're going to do now, break into groups of 5 or 6. I'm going to ask you as a courtesy, don't sit with your friends. You two know each other, you're in different groups. You two are in the same business, you're in different groups. Does that make sense? If you're pitching to someone you sit with all day, you're wasting both of your own time. So move around, groups of 5 or 6. Then what we're going to do, someone in that group, maybe 2 people, whoever wants it the most, whoever's not afraid, whoever's kind of felt like they're a little ready, I want someone in that group to come up and do a 1-minute pitch. While you're prepping in your group, that you're going to practice, do your 1-minute pitch to your buddies. Everyone's going to look at that. You can add some ideas. You know, that's not the definitive list. There's a million other ways you guys can help. The important thing I want to stress, what's constructive criticism? Help me. Constructive criticism, it's 2 words. They're both really easy. Someone knows the answer to this.
It's like positive feedback. That's
Positive
constructive.
feedback is really good. Constructive is another thing. Constructive is positive in a way that you can move forward from it. That's the most important thing. So constructive criticism isn't I liked it or I didn't like it. That's useless. Everyone here ever go to high school or college? You get a report card, you get an A, a B, a C. That's the suckiest form of evaluation on earth because it's a rear view mirror, right? If you get a B, you go like, how did I get an A? How could I don't know. How do I do better next time? No idea. It's not constructive. Constructive is you were in the middle of the pack, you didn't speak up as much, you obviously didn't study for this test, you didn't da-da-da-da-da. Here's what you can do next time, blah, 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 blah. That's constructive. That means, instead of giving someone a B, you tell them what they can do better next time, they can get an A. Okay. When you're in your groups, somebody's pitch sucks, great. They don't need to know that. They know it in their heart, right? How do you make it better? That's constructive criticism. The most useless response to a pitch is what?
No.
What?
No.
It's silence, right? If I pitch to you and you just kind of go, there's nothing I can do about that. I don't know if you liked it. I don't know if you didn't like it. So if you're in a group of 5 and someone speaks up and says, I loved it, and 3 other people go, yeah, it's the best ever, and you disagree, it's your moral obligation under God as a startup person to say you disagree. And to say why in a constructive way so that that person can get better. It's very important to remember in startups and in a lot of things in life, it takes 1 yes to change your life, right? So if you're with a group of people, 5 of them don't get it, 1 of them does get it. That person who does get it could be the one who writes the check, gets your company started, you both become billionaires, it's all good. If they were silent because they didn't agree with the other 4, missed opportunity. You gotta talk, you gotta be constructive. Is everyone absolutely clear on the assignment here?
Yeah.
Okay, you get into your groups. Paul and I are gonna walk around, kind of facilitate a little bit, but you guys should be grinding away for 10 minutes, and then we're gonna start pitching. Thanks.